must say I should have done this maybe long ago, but it's the interest in football is so low. So I kept on procrastinating and doing other things.
You mean your personal interest?
My personal interest. And that's a key thing that we ought to learn as journalists, that sometimes it's not just about you, it's about the team. Because whilst this investigation was going on, team members were telling me, wow, it's good, let's go, let's proceed. And I'm like, well, who wants to even watch or listen to the football thing? And now everybody is interested in knowing what happened in number 12. So when the committee's report came out, there was poor officiating in there. Of course, it didn't mean that the referee in that center of event had taken money, because we couldn't prove it.
You mean the committee that looked into the May 9th?
Yes, one of the recommendations was poor officiating, and it was part of the work I did, research. So I knew that there is something wrong somewhere. Of course, that coupled with the fact that people say it, we pay this and we pay that, there was no evidence to prove it. So we set out 2 years ago, find out whether indeed what is actually number 12. I think that we ought to put that piece of investigation into proper perspective. Number 12 is not Ghana. It's an African phenomenon. And if you've seen, you realize that many African countries have suffered this kind of problems, where people go to stadium and they die. So we looked at number 12 as a continental issue. So in Ghana, we got 77 referees, all taking bribes. Then of course, we looked at Africa. We got over 30-something referees in Africa. So Ghana has broken. Some other African countries have not broken. You know. Then we thought that, well, if you're looking at, you cannot be looking at only referees and think that you are making a case. Why don't you look at the sports authority? So there, I think we got about, can't remember, maybe 16 people at the Ghana Sports Authority. Then, of course, we went to the GFA, where we also got people. So number 12 is not get up one morning and embark on it. It's a well thought of, proper investigation, proper prima facie evidence gathered from sports journalists across this country who have done marvelous job over the years. I didn't know that they were so detailed and thorough like that until I got into football. Then again, when I took number 12 beginning of the year and I was talking to my team, why don't we just do something preliminary in the middle of the year, and then we see whether getting to the end of the year we can do something more exciting. We didn't know what it was going to turn out, but people kept on warning me, when it is mixed with politics, the dynamics will change. I didn't heed to it. If I knew that number 12 will erupt this way, maybe I could have put in some more effort to make it
more of a political expose?
No, not necessarily. Look, you start an investigation, you know exactly what you're looking for in an investigation. It is not, you see, journalism is not impulse buying. It's not. You have to be focused. You have to know exactly what you're doing. So I don't think that whilst I was doing the story, if anything touched me, there were many issues I saw whilst doing number 12. But I knew exactly. And again, you see, it is not within your remit to just decide that an investigation should go left or right. We don't do that in journalism. You are working with a team of solid investigators. You know what you've been looking for. You have started. You don't just start working. You first must establish your prima facie evidence against whoever you are investigating. Don't forget, undercover would always be a last resort. So after having established your prima facie case, you want to even ask yourself the public interest issues associated with that kind of investigation that you are doing. So if you have not done a prima facie, you don't have any prima facie evidence and somebody pops up, you cannot carry your camera and decide to record. We don't do that. Always, the rules ought to be followed.
Right. On that point where you are doing an investigation, you have your focus, but something else comes up. For the sake of public interest, when a name like that of the president and ministers come up, doesn't it pique your interest to at least try and establish a prima facie case in that regard?
Let's put the investigation into context. How did President Nanado's name come in? I think that is important. So, you speak to somebody, he begins to drop names. He says, okay, if you want to see the man, you must carry an amount of $12 million. Where was I going to get $12 million? It's not possible. Nobody does an investigation with a budget of $12 million. The fairness in all this is that somebody has made an allegation. Are you giving the other party a fair opportunity of answering those allegations? So yes, then we went to the president. He gave us his side of the story. We went to the vice president. He spoke to all the ministers involved to give us their side of the story. Then we can understand the context which the person used to speak. It's up to anybody who thinks that he has issues with it to want to do further interrogation. We are all journalists.
Okay.
We have subjects we look at. If anybody feels that that place was not looked at properly, the person has the right. You can also look there.
But beyond...
I know how to do a political story. And I know how to do a football story. For God's sake, they cannot be the same. They are different subjects. And as journalists, we ought to approach this subject differently. That's how we do it.
Yes,
because you have to understand the topic well. If you don't, you put yourself into all sorts of problems.
Right. The point here, yes, and you raised the point that, first of all, you could not have raised $12 million to try and follow through with what's
practically impossible.
Yes. But were there no other ways that you could have gone about establishing this beyond the face-to-face interview like you did with the president?
My brother, I am saying that I had a focus and I was doing a story. I have clarified that. I know when to do a political story and how. We've learnt all this. I'm sure my brothers here, Manasseh, all of it, we all know what we put into perspective when we decide to embark on that. Left, right, center. I've answered, gone through all this. So I know when it is to touch a subject and when it is not to touch a subject. The key issue is that you ought to be sure that you are properly prepared. Pick it up. I don't know, some may decide to do it differently, but with what I have gone through over these years, I will ensure that whatever I'm doing, I properly know it. I can answer questions. And look, I keep saying, let's not anybody take my journalism hook, line, and sinker. The work I do is not sacrosanct. And I have said, I name, shame, and jail. Those are the key cardinals I look at. What I try to say when I say I jail is that I subject myself to the rules of the courts. That's when you can, how you move society.
Okay.
When you can take your evidence to the proper court of law, ensure that that evidence goes through that grill and mail, and then has impact. Over the years, have I not impacted? Are many people not in jail as a result of my work? Do we put people in jail in the vacuum? You don't. Because I don't know which lawyer in this country has not cross-examined me. I've gone through all that. And in going through all that, it's good because it strengthens you.
Okay.
It allows you to understand the topic. And it allows you to also, the next work you do, to take the decisions that you have to take. That's why you don't just get up and say, because I've heard the president's name, it means the president is guilty or not guilty. No, we don't do that.